That's another video for another time. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be ranking some popular dystopian movies. Now I've got a list here of 15 popular dystopian movies, and we're just going to be doing a little ranking. Now we're going to be doing this in sections, so we've got the Hunger Games movies, Divergent movies, Maze Runner movies, and then a bunch of other standalone movies. Now this is just my opinion, so no need for the hate comments if yours is different. So let's begin. We're going to start with the Hunger Games, and we're going to rank those movies within each other and then sort of see where everything else goes. So with Hunger Games, we have currently 5 Hunger Games movies that have been released. There is a 6th one coming out in November, and I'm very excited for that. Now objectively, Catching Fire is the best Hunger Games movie. So I'm going to currently place that at the very top of my Hunger Games list. Then I love Mockingjay Part 2. I truly think that that is the second best Hunger Games movie. Now this is where we get into a little bit of a tricky grey area, because I truly believe if Francis Lawrence directed the first Hunger Games movie, that could have had potential to be the best one. I just think the first Hunger Games movie had these weird cuts in it, and the camera was like kind of weirdly shaky. And then as soon as we get to Catching Fire, it's just we start off with the most beautiful still shot of Katniss over the lake. For that reason, I'm actually going to place the first Hunger Games film 3rd in the Hunger Games rankings, followed by Mockingjay Part 1. I think that there isn't too much action that happens in Part 1 of Mockingjay, which is why it's going to be towards the bottom of the list. And then we get to some of the prequels. So at the moment there's only one prequel movie that has been released, and that is Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I didn't really think that this was a Hunger Games movie just because there was a lot of backstory for President Snow, and we didn't see too much of the Hunger Games itself. So Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is going at the bottom of this list. Now I'm actually just going to put a placeholder on Sunrise of the Reaping. I really truly believe that it could be number 1 or 2 on this list. Since it hasn't yet been released, we're going to just omit that one from this list. Now that's the Hunger Games rankings so far. Let's get to Divergent. Now the books and the movies are quite different to each other. Now I feel like the first Divergent movie was most similar to its book, and the other 2 movies just didn't stick to its source material. But I also think the Insurgent movie was the best one. So for that reason, I'm placing Insurgent at the very top. Allegiant was the worst one, I'm just gonna say that. Allegiant just did not hit at all. So Allegiant's going last. Divergent will be second, so Insurgent, Divergent, then Allegiant. And that's that. They didn't even finish the Allegiant book adaptation, which was kind of disappointing because I wanted them to close that story. Now we have the Maze Runner. Again, the first movie was most similar to its book. The other 2 movies just were very different to the source material, but that does not mean it's the worst, because actually, I am putting Death Cure at the very top. They were all very good. The Maze Runner trilogy is one of my favorite dystopian stories. They are pretty much all like equally first. But I think the Death Cure goes first. The Death Cure does go first on this list. Okay, let's just pause for a second, because the Death Cure book was very different to the movie. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, because a lot of people did love the book and didn't like the way the Death Cure ended. But I loved the adventure and action that they had to go through in the Death Cure movie. I really didn't like the way the book was different to the movies, just because I watched the movies first. I had watched the movies way before I read the books, and I feel like there was a bit of nostalgia, which is why the first book was probably the best one that I had read in the trilogy. because it was so close to its source material. But the movies ranking differently, it's going to be Death Cure, then The Maze Runner, then The Scorched Trials. Scorched Trials and Maze Runner are kind of on the same level, but Scorched Trials is just going to be a little bit below Maze Runner. Okay, now since we have the big three of the dystopian genre ranked, we have 4 standalone movies to slot in anywhere. We have Edge of Tomorrow, Tron Legacy, Alita Battle Angel, and Ready Player One. Now, before we get to that, I'm actually going to re-rank the big three, slotting each of the individual movies within each other. Now, that won't make sense at first, but essentially, I'm going to currently keep Catching Fire first. That's staying in number 1 for now. Then it does go Mockingjay Part 2. And then I'm actually going to put in Insurgent and Divergent next. Then we keep the Hunger Games there. Then I'm putting all 3 of the Maze Runner movies next. Then we have Mockingjay Part 1, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and then Allegiant. Allegiant is just the worst one, I'm sorry. Next, let's put in Edge of Tomorrow. I really like this movie. I really like the concept of repeating a day and having to figure out how to get out of that loop. But is it better than The Maze Runner? Is it better than Divergent? I'm going to place it above Mockingjay Part 1, and we're going to leave that there for now. I'm going to skip Tron Legacy just for a moment, and we're going to go to Alita Battle Angel. I loved this movie when it came out, but I don't think it's a very good movie to be in the top half of this list. So I'm going to place it below Mockingjay Part 1. Ready Player One. I loved the movie, hated the book, but where does it go on this list? It had stunning visuals and it had a very great concept. And I loved what Steven Spielberg did with the movie. I'm going to place it below Divergent and above the Hunger Games. And then we get to Tron Legacy. Tron Legacy is subjectively my favorite movie, and there's a huge fan base for it. There is such an incredible fan base for it, and it's got a beautiful story about finding family again, and I love the idea of going into a video game. And the lights and the suits, the costumes, everything was just perfect. I watch Tron Legacy at least once a year, but where does it go on this list? Now, I don't want to be too subjective because I would put it straight at the very top. Catching Fire, though, is one of the best Hunger Games movies. Right now it's tied for first, but do I break my opinion and put it second? I think I'm going to do that just because I'm actually really upset they didn't make a direct sequel to Tron Legacy, and they made Tron Ares, which is kind of mid. But Tron Legacy, it's just a perfect movie. So there we have it. That's the list of 15 popular dystopian movies that are now ranked. And again, this is my opinion, so don't hate me in the comments. But yeah, that's everything. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video, and I hope to see you next time.